Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good afternoon and happy Thursday. I'm First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you from our First Alert desk. I hope that you are able to enjoy your afternoon inside because it is hot and humid. The humidity is really what is getting us here this afternoon. The heat on its own is simply hot, but the humidity is always just kind of that next level. And of course, we're no strangers to the humidity, but it's uncomfortable outside. So that's why we have that First Alert weather day for today and going into the afternoon. And mainly that First Alert weather day is for the heat, but we also have some storms. We'll be talking about those coming up. Maybe you've already been watching to see where that cold front is on your First Alert weather app. It's a great tool to have here as we're going through a little bit of an active pattern, of course, to get the latest. Even just shortly after lunch, I sent that push alert with an update on what temperatures we're feeling like outside. And of course, when we're outside today, it just simply feels hot. Even a couple of degrees difference, it's still going to be warm for everybody across mid-Michigan. So as we get started here this afternoon, it is just a reminder that we do have that First Alert weather day for today. So we do have air temperatures that are into the mid-90s, and then the humidity, as I had mentioned, that's just kind of making it next level in the forecast. So our heat indices, we've already been seeing those into the triple digits for some of us, and we are going to find that that's going to hold here for the next couple of hours. So you're going to want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Take any precautions you can to avoid any heat illnesses. We'll actually be talking about some of the tips and ways that you can make sure that you're taking care of yourself during the heat here shortly, but I do at least want to get you through some of the current conditions that we do have outside. Here's a look at our feels like temperatures, where a lot of us have those heat indices that are around 100 degrees. So it currently feels like 101 across Saginaw County, 103 in Flint. We have 100 in Bad Axe, Port Hope, 101 at the sensor there in Caseville, 101 in Midland. I have 96 for a feels like temperature in Clare, same in West Branch, and 76 in Houghton Lake. Well, we do have some rain coming through, so that can definitely play a little bit of factor of what we are seeing. We'll actually take a quick check of radar. So yes, we do have that rainfall, so that's why we are seeing, of course, some of those spots that are feeling a little bit cooler compared to other locations. But again, those feels like temperatures are simply hot as we are waiting for that cold front to come through. Here's a look at current temperatures, where we are finding that that rain has cooled us down here in Houghton Lake down to 76. We have 87 in West Branch, 90 still in Clare and Gladwin. We have 92 in Saginaw, 94 in Flint, 95 in Lapeer. And air temperatures are also around 92 in Bad Axe and 94 in Marlette. We have 87 in Port Sanilac, and we have 86 in Harbor Beach. So being near the water today is the best way to battle that heat. And of course, staying hydrated. But if you're going to have a little bit of summer fun, hanging out by the lake, the pool, the pond, that's going to be one location that you can kind of get a little bit of relief here from the heat. Now, we do have some heat alerts that are active across many of our mid-Michigan counties. So everybody actually here in mid-Michigan, except for Roscommon, Ogama, and Clare counties, do not have that heat advisory. Now, this is going to go until 8 o'clock, though, for everybody else. And so that's going to include our lakeshore communities, the Thumb, around the Tri-Cities, along I-69, closer towards 127 as well. And so mainly this is just an advisory to make sure that you are taking care of yourself in the heat, that we are going to have heat. It's impactful. It's uncomfortable outside. So that's why we do have those heat advisories that are active for us. Now, feels like temperatures to come. We are going to find those for a lot of us that are sitting around the triple digits. So it's very uncomfortable outside. We will also see that once that rainfall starts to push through, like we have right now in Houghton Lake, that is cooling us down here for a little bit. It's still going to create a lot of humidity. The rain is not going to knock that out and make it comfortable. It's still going to be sticky in the forecast, but it might provide some temporary relief before we have that heat that tries to build back in. And the cold front itself, not necessarily a strong one. It does have some showers and storms associated with it, and it does bring our temperatures back down tomorrow, but it's still going to be fairly warm in the forecast as we go later into this week. But again, once that rainfall comes through, you can find that a lot of our feels like temperatures are still going to be into the mid to upper 80s. So it's still going to be warm for your evening plans. So I know we have a lot of events. We'll talk about those events that are coming up and look at the forecast, but just be prepared. It's going to be hot here for much of the day. Now, I was talking about the humidity component, and today it's kind of at its worst. So we are seeing our dew points that are into the lower 70s, and really that 70-degree mark for dew points, that's when I'm saying it's uncomfortable, and I know that's when a lot of you'd say it's really uncomfortable. It's almost unbearable outside. So that's right where we're sitting currently. The muggy conditions, though, still hold Friday, Saturday, and back on Sunday and Monday, we're saying ugh again. So we are going to find that even as this cold front comes through, it really doesn't make a difference on the humidity. It's still going to be comfortable outside. It's still going to be sticky for us. So just be prepared that it's going to be feeling like summer here for a while. Now, I had mentioned that we are going to be watching for some ways that we can take care of ourselves as we go throughout the rest of the day today. And we actually had our very own James Felton. He reached out to some medical professionals to make sure that we could get you the best information on how you can be staying safe in the heat. So we're going to toss it over to him and make sure that you stay updated on the conditions and how to take care of yourself through the heat.
The mercury is about to go way up, giving us some of the hottest weather we've had all year. Come Thursday, feels like temperatures could reach or even surpass 100 degrees.
TV5's James Felton spoke to a local doctor, says even though it is late July and it's supposed to be hot, we do need to pay attention so we don't end up in the emergency room. James?
The medical director of hospitalist services at McLaren Bay Region tells me if history repeats itself, odds are emergency rooms are going to be busy Thursday.
I know that we've been been able to have some lower temperatures here recently, but with the heat coming back, sometimes we're not necessarily on best guard as far as what to do for ourselves when we experience these high heats.
Dr. Elizabeth Pionk is the medical director of hospitalist services at McLaren Bay Region. She tells us it's important to stay hydrated when it gets hot.
Even if you don't feel thirsty, it's important to continue to drink and stay hydrated with water, because thirst isn't necessarily a good sign or symptom that you're dehydrated or starting to become dehydrated.
Pionk says days like Thursday, when the heat index could break 100 degrees, keep the emergency room busy.
Emergency room visits are always increased on our high hot days. And it's particular in those people who, again, are working outside or spending excessive time outside.
Now that we're in late July, a lot of us are finding plenty of reasons to stay outside. Pionk tells us people who are outdoors for a long time and are exposed to direct sunlight run the highest risk of having a heat issue. So if you fall into that category, pay attention to yourself and those around you.
Nausea, dizziness, some confusion, excessive sweating. Those are all warning signs that you're starting to overheat or get too hot. Again, those are early symptoms. If you notice somebody who's confused or if they stop sweating, then we recommend that you seek emergency or urgent medical treatment at that time, because that can be certainly the signs and symptoms of heat stroke or excessive heat exhaustion.
We're told young children and older adults have the highest risk of heat illness, as well as people on certain medications like diuretics, blood pressure medications, and psychiatric medications are also at high risk. Back.
And we want to thank James for putting that story together for us so that we can keep an eye to those conditions. Now, as we get ready here for a little bit of that storm activity that we already are seeing here in mid-Michigan, I do want to take a real quick break before we get settled into that storm motion. So make sure you stay with us. We'll have another radar update here coming shortly. Welcome back. Now, we were talking about the heat, but that's not the only thing that is on our radar this afternoon. We actually have rainfall that we are forecasting, and we're seeing that move across portions of mid-Michigan. As we dive here into the forecast, you will find that we do have the line of storms that are coming in across our northern counties. Quite a bit of lightning associated with this line. We're having a pretty good light show associated with it, but we also have heavy rain with the humidity that really allows us to tap into a lot of water. So when a lot of these storms are water loaded and we do have that rainfall that comes down at a good rate, you also get a lot of that momentum, which creates that wind. So that's going to be the main concerns, is heavy rain and some gusty winds within some of the storms that we have. Now, we do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings currently, and we don't even have a watch either. But as this line goes, it's holding together pretty well, but you'll still see that it still is in pieces, and also not a lot of lightning being detected here as this line is starting to get developed a little bit closer towards western Isabella County. But we have a lot of lightning here that is currently just sitting along and east of 127 in Clare County. We're seeing that, that heavy rain is just north of Gladwin. So if you're on the north side of town, you were picking up on a lot of that rainfall. And we're also continuing to see that rain push across Ogama County as well. So there is plenty of that. I'm actually going to make our lightning bolts here a little bit smaller so we can see a little bit better. So actually, if you're in West Branch, you're going to have a lot of rainfall coming through. Now in Houghton Lake, we've seen kind of the bulk of the rainfall pass. We still have some showers that are coming behind it. But mainly once this line does work its way through, we'll find that it's a little bit quieter into the forecast. As we zoom out here, you'll see, though, that that line has just been trying to get organized. Now, when we were first seeing these conditions come through, we were anticipating the line to get a little bit more developed here across the thumb, a little bit towards the vehicle city. So we are seeing some earlier development from this line, and also the timing is also a little bit earlier. So we were anticipating to see this a little bit closer towards 4 o'clock. So it's about 2 hours early, and it's also organized a little bit better than what was modeled in the data. So that's where we just need to kind of keep an eye. I'm also watching just for what's going to be building towards our west as this line is going to continue to pivot in. It is mainly a cold front that is sparking these showers and storms to come through. As we check the latest run of the hour by hour, you can see it's not even really pulling that full line of rainfall coming through, but it is trying to pick up on some of those bigger cells that are possible. So as we go here through the next couple of hours, though that line isn't necessarily holding together all that well, we still are going to see that it is going to create that line. It is going to be pushing through here for the next 3, 4, 5 clock hours. So if you are going to be doing that evening commute, you're checking in with us, we're glad to have you. But just know that you are going to be wanting to check radar before you head out of the office to get home. Now, we do also have a lot of events. So we have Rib Fest that's going on. We have Munger Potato Festival that's happening. And Party on McCarty, though, sadly, that did get canceled with the heat and the storms that are coming in. Of course, they also have a lot of setup. So they are probably looking at, of course, these storms now saying, oh, my, the timing of that not necessarily ideal. So, of course, if you want to head out to some of these events, Tuscola County Fair is going on. You're going to want to make sure that you take your First Alert weather app with you. Though I have that QR code there, here's a bigger version of it so you can get that scanned on your devices. For folks who are watching us on a TV or a computer, you can, of course, scan that with your cell phone and get the latest app version on there. And if you don't have the app, of course, that'll send you to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to get that. But this is going to be a pretty helpful tool here to continue to watch radar as we go here through the next couple of hours. As we dive back into the hour by hour, you still will see that we have some rain chances right around dinner time, 5, 6 o'clock. Showers and thunderstorms to be possible. And then as we get closer towards 8, this is just some lingering rain that's behind the main line that comes through. So there still is going to be some showers. You can see a lot of them associated with the thumb area, and that is going to continue to push eastward. So as we wrap up the rainfall right around bedtime, we don't have to worry about severe weather during the overnight. We'll have some easy sleeping. It might still be tricky because it's going to be warm yet, but if you have air conditioning, hopefully you're a little bit comfortable to catch some Z's. And the good news is with Friday's forecast is we have had some high pressure nearby, and that's going to get just close enough on Friday to where it's actually going to move out some of the cloud cover. So we'll have quite a bit of sunshine. We'll still have a mix of some clouds and some sun, but it's still going to be a brighter day. And we're happy to see that it's also dry because we have Friday Night Live in downtown Saginaw going on. So we're happy to see that we have the drier weather coming in for Friday events. And of course, if maybe we can't get the party started in Munger or in Bay City for the Rib Fest, we're going to be happy to see a drier day to get out there and also just a little bit more comfortable. So with the weather that we've had today, maybe not the easiest to get outside, but still something that we need to keep an eye to if we do want to have some outdoor plans. And going into Saturday morning, the timing of this has been a little bit tricky. We have scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast for Saturday. Now, the coverage and the amount of rainfall, that has also been in question along with the timing. We're just now starting to get a little bit of a sample in the short-term data of what Saturday looks like. So we are going to be watching to see how far north that rain wants to go and how well the coverage is. You can still see, again, showers, thunderstorms. Those are going to be possible. It's not going to be an all-day rain. It's going to be a little more of a nuisance. If you do have outside plans, you want to continue with them, you may have to be prepared to run in and out as those showers and even some storms roll through. So we will be watching that chance. Hopefully we can have an update on the timing. Now, our rain totals, because we do have the storms that are coming in tonight with a lot of humidity in the air, that means that if you get caught under some of these cells, you're going to get a little bit of relief with the rainfall. I know some of us do need some water in the forecast, so we will find that we have a better chance of picking up on some of that rain the closer we get to the north side of I-69. But with that line holding together pretty well, I anticipate that we'll still be picking up some healthy amounts of some rain across even our northern counties. So that line is really that first and initial line that we have that's developing here now. That's going to have the bulk of the water associated with our rain chances for today. So that's going to be the best chance at picking up on some of that water. But in some of these thunderstorms, you could easily pick up an inch of rain. That's not hard to do when we have as much humidity and moisture in the air as we have today. But if you don't get caught underneath some of those heavier thunderstorms, you will find that some of your rain totals can average about 1/4 of an inch. We might get a little bit higher, closer towards 1/2 inch. But overall, we will find that our conditions are still going to be bringing some rain, and others may not get as much wanted and needed rain. I know a lot of you are saying, hey, I'm having to get the sprinklers out in the yard. So just keep in mind that some of you might get a break from running the sprinklers, and others, they may have to keep them running. Now, I do want to talk about the severe weather threat because we are still talking mainly strong winds and some heavy rain. There is that isolated chance for some hail. So, of course, this window actually starting now, have not updated this graphic just yet. But one update, though, that came in from the Storm Prediction Center is that slight risk coming in. So it looks a little bit interesting as it moves through. It's not maybe a great shape coming in, but we are seeing that slight risk now across Gratiot, Isabella, Clare, Gladwin, Roscommon, Ogama, and Iosco counties. So mainly that's just a level 2. That means scattered severe storms are possible. And then it looks like it is going to maybe run out of a little bit of energy, or just not a great storm environment as it comes in towards the Tri-Cities, towards Flint, and then into the Thumb as well. So we are going to be watching for some of these storms to come through. I anticipate so far with what I've seen that still that marginal risk would have been okay, but this update of that slight risk just came in. So that's what we are seeing as one of the changes here for the afternoon. I'm actually going to see if they've released any other additional information besides that outlook coming in. So as we look through here, it is going to be that line of storms that moves through the potential for some stronger storms to be in that line. We will be watching for this to come through. Okay, so mainly we're still on track here in the forecast. We have the heat, the humidity, and now we have that line of storms that it's coming through. So not a ton of changes, though they did bump that slight risk across the western portions of mid-Michigan. We are going to see, though, that our conditions here are looking overall favorable for not severe weather, but just thunderstorms. But also some of these could be on the stronger side. I'm actually going to check in with our friends at the National Weather Service and see if they have any updates as far as any watches or warnings. So as I do that, we are going to hop in, do a quick check in, and then we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us as we continue to keep an eye on our rainy conditions. We do have this line of showers and thunderstorms that is coming across some of our northern counties. I do want to zoom in here so you can kind of see that that line is fairly strong as it comes across Ogama counties and even coming into Gladwin County as well. I'm going to turn down the size of our lightning strike so we can get a good look here on that rain. As I had mentioned earlier, we were anticipating seeing some heavier rain coming in towards West Branch. So that's now coming in. I'm also watching that cell there. We just have a little bit of weak rotation. We are going to find that that is not necessarily all that strong, but I will turn it over to our wind product just so you can kind of see what we are looking at. So it's very broad at this point, but we do have some winds that are trying to come together in this cell. So that tornado risk is very much low for today, but still with just a little bit of rotation when we're talking along a front, that is still going to be possible. So mainly the area that we are going to be watching, you can see here, is still west of M33 and just north of West Branch there along the highway. So that's going to be just east of 75 and even staying north of M55. And so we will be watching these cells as they come through, kind of zooming in here on our pinpoint Doppler. It kind of looks a little bit messy on the reflectivity. So heavy rain definitely going to be a factor to watch within these storms. Also going to have that rainfall coming in towards Edwards, around the Clement area. We're also going to be seeing some of that heavy rain. And in Gladwin, it's really just going to be coming into town. The north side's been seeing buckets of rain so far, but we will continue to see some of that roll in. Now, our lightning, we are actually watching this line that's trying to build a little bit closer towards Mount Pleasant. You can see that off towards the west. I'm actually going to bring up that camera here at campus. So it's not nearly as sunny as what it once was. I'm also noticing that the leaves on the tree, it looks like we're catching a little bit of wind. So we might have some wind that's blowing out ahead of that storm. So of course that's just using with what we can see here on eye level, and then what's going to be coming in. It looks like that might just stay on the north side of town. Watch to see how well that builds there along M20. But so far we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings with this line that we have moving across our northern counties. We're seeing that to be coming through at about 35 miles per hour. That's the storm motion. And that's going to continue moving eastward. So I am going to pause this and we'll take a look at how where that would take that if we have the storm moving at about 35 miles per hour. I do want to update here to get you the most recent line and look at that. So as we kind of take that forward, this has been kind of moving across a little bit. We'll see if we can get across the bay over towards Caseville. So here we are going to see it towards Alger around 2:30, and then around Standish around 3 o'clock, and then Tawa City just shortly after 3 at about 3:10, and then Caseville right around 4 o'clock. So this is that line that's coming through. We'll also be watching to see how well that holds, but we do anticipate that it will take a little bit of time, about 40 or so minutes, to cut across Saginaw Bay to get over to the Thumb, but that's once it leaves Sims. You can see that at about 3:20 p.m. So we are going to see that this line not moving necessarily the quickest, but it is still moving right along. And we are going to find that we do have quite a bit of lightning associated. So heavy rain, lightning, those are the main concerns that we are watching for in this line. And we will, of course, have a little bit of that hail threat as well. As I'm checking radar here kind of behind the scenes, you will also find that these storms are going to be impacting other portions of mid-Michigan. But I do kind of want to pull back here and pull a little more data behind the scenes. So it looks like we do have a little bit of a cluster where we could have some reports of some hail coming through. Let that data load here. But as this line comes through, looks like that cell that we had just north of Gladwin. So that cell kind of flared up for a little bit after it left Hamilton. So we probably picked up potentially a little bit of hail coming there. So around the M18 area as that continues to cut north. So around Sage, Oberlin, Hockaday. So that's where we do have that potential for a little bit of hail in there. We also have some returns that's coming from that cell around the West Branch area, but these numbers aren't necessarily high as far as what the radar is reading for that hail potential, but it is still there. So we will find, again, wind and heavy rain are the main concerns, but hail is still going to be something that we have on the table with these storms that are coming through. I know we do still have that line that's going to be coming across our northern counties, and we are seeing that building. You can see here in DeClaire and Isabella counties. So if you are in Midland, Bay City, Saginaw, you do have the potential to see some of these storms. We are seeing them travel a little bit closer towards that east-northeast direction. That's their storm motion. And we're also watching to see what develops behind this line as well. So if you do have some plans, if you want to go to some of the local events that we have here this afternoon, make sure you have your First Alert weather app with you. Now in Munger this evening, we do have the Potato Festival, and you can see that we do have the rain chances and the thunderstorms possible. So with us talking about storms, of course, it might not be the best night to go. Thankfully, the festival is going to be going all weekend if you just want to wait a little bit. And considering how hot it is and the storms, it might just be good to wait a day and then head out there when you have some nicer, more comfortable weather. But if you do head out there, you can see that that rainfall this afternoon is going to take us from the 90s into the lower 80s. Now also happening in Bay County and in Bay City specifically is the Labadee Rib Fest. And we will have temperatures still into the mid 90s, and then we will have those 80s come through. But still, we also have the rain chances here. So showers and thunderstorms, those are possible for us, and we will find that we do have the chance for some breezy winds as well. So that's also why we have that wind component in our storms. Now the Tuscola County Fair, that is going on. We'll actually keep a little more of that heat a little bit later on because we have to wait for these storms to come across the bay, but you will find that we have temperatures that are going to be into the 90s, and then once that rain comes down, we're still going to be hovering right around 80 degrees. But again, some of that rainfall can still linger after the initial line comes through. So though we do have a lot of fun going on, the weather maybe doesn't make it as easy to get outside. So make sure you kind of check in with the First Alert weather app and kind of make the best decision on what works with your schedule and how everything goes. I know we've had a lot of prep though from a lot of the fair organizers. So the good news is that they are ready. And we'll take another check of those feels like temperatures now that we're seeing a little more rainfall come through. Our sensor in West Branch, though, is still putting that heat index at 94. We're still at 97 in Gladwin, 98 in Mount Pleasant, and then 100 degrees feels like temperature for Bay City, Saginaw, Midland, and even into Flint. A lot of that is because of the concrete that's able to absorb some of that heat. So that's why we kind of have the urban heat island effect going on, is you have all that concrete and then that heat is just able to sit there and radiate. So typically over cities, we do tend to see a lot of heat hold a little bit longer, and the same can be said for those air temperatures. As we take another check of our pinpoint Doppler here, though, we do have quite a bit of lightning associated with this line. So we are actually finding that the lightning strikes are building here in Mount Pleasant. I'm actually going to take us back to that camera so we can get a good look of what we're working with. So we kind of have the ominous look. I don't have a lot of, I do have some rain just coming across the lens. If you look kind of close, you can see that rainfall coming through. So as SL comes in towards Mount Pleasant, quite a bit of lightning is also going to be there as well. That's very similar setup to what we have across our northern counties with that lightning concern. So make sure you are headed inside. If you are in Isabella, Gladwin County, Ogama County as well, make sure you are not necessarily in your safe spot, but we just don't want you outdoors with all the lightning that we have. As we continue to kind of keep an eye to the conditions, still seeing that a little bit of that hail threat, but we do also have some gusty winds that are going to be possible. As far as any cells that are trying to take off or any rotation, not seeing that anymore in any of some of our weaker systems. So thankfully, we could just have more microbursts that come through. But overall, we are going to make sure that everybody's kind of keeping an eye a little bit weather aware. Here's another check of that pinpoint Doppler. We'll take it full screen here so you can see the conditions that are rolling through our northern counties. So again, heavy rain coming through Gladwin, West Branch, just coming through or knocking on the door to Alger, and then even into Rose City. That's just now passing, but quite a bit of lightning. We will have that heavy rain. So far, the National Weather Service has not needed to issue any severe thunderstorm warnings. We've been able to stay below severe criteria. So that is some good news there. I am going to check in with our National Weather Service office out of the Grand Rapids area because they do service Isabella, Clare, and Gratiot counties. Doesn't look like we have any new information from them. They are just putting out a special weather statement for the cell that we do have here in Isabella County. So you can see the rain quickly moving in, making the pavement nice and wet across campus. That storm, as I had mentioned, we are going to find that has started to build. Also, the lightning strike count also coming through. This riding right along M20, and that's going to continue to kind of cut through there where the business portion of 127 and 127, the highway itself, start to connect. So the north side of town. So that is going to be rolling through. We'll be seeing that just a little bit south of Rosebush, but we will continue to track showers and storms. But since we do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings so far, of course, I want you to have your First Alert weather app. You can find that app right here. Scan that. Of course, if you have that open, you'll get any watches and warnings if necessary. So far, though, right now, everything is staying below that severe threshold. So as we need to do a little bit of preparation and also keep an eye to radar here, but we do need to do some preps for our 4 p.m. newscast on TV5. So make sure you stay with us. Of course, if we need to jump back on here and do a little more coverage, of course we will. But with some preparation in mind, we are going to be turning back over to those. Of course, keep an eye to radar here in the First Alert weather app. It's going to be a great tool to keep you on top of everything. I thank you so much, though, for joining me here this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.